Hello and welcome to ATech. My name is Akshay and we are back with a new part of this tutorial series, and today we will learn what is thread in C#. So before understanding what is thread in C#, we should understand what is process in C#. Okay, so that we will learn today, that is process in C#, thread in C#, multi-threading in C#. So first of all, what is process? Process in its normal definition, that is in a simplest definition, is the phenomena used by operating system to facilitate the execution of a program by providing required resources. Now what does that mean? Let me show you that. So if I press Alt Control Delete, and if I go to Task Manager, okay, so here as we can see there are this task, that is this application runnings, and if you can see here I am using this Visual Studio, that is my Visual Studio is running right now. So which process is handling that execution for this Visual Studio, that is this application? So if I go to these details, so we can see that here, that is there should be a denv.exe. So this is nothing but a process which is handling the execution of that Visual Studio, and if I run and if I end this process like this, if I end this task, so it is prompting that message, okay, and if I end this process, so that Visual Studio will also get terminated, that is that application will get terminated, because the process which is handling that execution, that is the execution for that application, is ended, that is it is terminated manually by ourselves. Okay, so to show you one example, if I use calculator here, if I open this calculator program, that is okay, that is this application, this is nothing but an application, this is nothing but a Windows application, but this is an inbuilt application, that is we also called it as a system application. It comes with a Windows automatically. Okay, so these are system programs basically, okay, but it is also kind of an application. So I have fire up this application. So now let's see which process is handling the execution for this, and there should be a calculator.exe process. Okay, so that is this. So this calculator.exe is the process which is handling the execution for this application, that is this calculator application. And if I end this process something like this, so that calculator application or what we can say, that program is also gets terminated automatically. So this is nothing but a process that is facilitate the execution of a program by providing it certain resources it requires. Okay, but now process in C# language, there is also, that is in C# there is also a class, that is process, present under the system namespace, that is a system.diagnostics namespace, and used to start and stop the local system process. So let me show you that is this process class that is we use in C#. So let's go to the Visual Studio. So here let me show what simple console, that is a simple message onto this console, and for that let me use it correctly, console dot write line, and a simple message I will print onto this, hello world maybe. Okay, so now if I run this, so now what do you think guys, that this is nothing but also one application which is running. So which process is handling the execution for this application? So let me show you that. Now for that we have one class, as I have told you, that is a process which is present in the system namespace, that is system.diagnostic namespace. If I use that, using system.diagnostics, and in that namespace there is present this class, that is process. Okay, and we can create instance of that, something like this. Okay, but we don't have to create instance of that to see which process is handling the execution of this program, because we can directly see that something like this. If I go and print that onto the console.writeLine, sorry, so it should be something like this, process name, and that process dot get current process, there is this method that is get current process, and in that there should be, that is, this is a method, so we have to use that parenthesis, and in that there should be this process name, a property, and if I run this now, so we'll get that name of the process. Okay, so this is the process, that is this thread in C#, nothing but facilitating the execution of this program which we are seeing, which we are displaying over this application, which we are displaying over this Visual Studio. So this console is nothing but one kind of application, and the execution of this application is facilitated by the process called as threads in C#. And also every process has a unique ID, so we can print that as well. Okay, so let me show you that. Console dot write line, or what I will do, I will copy this only, and I will print that something like this, ID, and there should be a property that is ID. And now if I run this, so hello world, this is our message, this is a process name, and this is the ID given to this process. And similarly, we can able to see which machine is facilitating this process as well. Okay, so how we can see that? That is machine name, and there is this property that is machine, not main module, that should be machine name. Okay, and if I run this now, so our message, this is nothing but a message, this is nothing but a machine name. And why it is printing that dot? Because this machine is nothing but, that is, we are executing this program, we are executing this Visual Studio on a local machine, so that is why it is printing that dot. That is because this is on a local machine. If I would have connected to some remote machine through a VPN, that is virtual private network, say, then in that case it would have given the name of that machine, that is that remote machine we would have been connected to through a VPN. Okay, so but now it is on a local machine, so that's why it is printing that dot. Okay, and if I go to this definition, that is this properties definition here, okay, so this is nothing but a property here which is present in this class only, that is this process, this, and it has several methods and properties here, but we don't have to worry about them. Anyway, we don't use process in our application. It is enough knowledge to know only that this is this class process present in the system namespace, and we use that to start or stop the process. And in real-time application also we don't use this class much, so we don't have to worry about this. So we will not invest much time in this. So we will directly jump towards that what is the thread, and that's what this tutorial is all about. But before that, we should have understand that what is this process, and this process is nothing but facilitates the execution of this program, and this process can have more than one thread. So let's just see what is thread. So as you can see here, a process can have multiple threads, and thread is nothing but a lightweight process which manages the execution of a program, and also called as a main thread. Okay, now here if I run this program, so this program is nothing but managed by a thread that is implicitly provided to this application, and that is nothing but called as a main thread. If we don't use thread as well, so it is automatically we are automatically given with one thread, and that is nothing but called as a main thread. But if we want to divide the load of this application to more than one thread, and in which situation, if our application has some time consuming code, some time consuming methods, so those time consuming codes we can give to that particular thread, and that thread will manage the execution of that program. So that load will be divided into two parts, and our application will be more efficient and more responsive. So that is why we use multi-threading. Okay, so this multi-threading is nothing but is the methodology in which we can create more than one thread to divide the load of an application into multiple threads, and then each thread will perform its particular task. So let me show you that a very simple example for this. Okay, so let's just go to Visual Studio. Now let me create one simple simple class here. Okay, I will create one class student, and in that let me have one property, that is string first name and a property last name. Okay, and let's just have one method here, print full name okay. So I will show that onto the console, that is console dot write line full name is equals to first name plus last name. Okay, so very simple program. As always we use this. Okay, we will create an instance of that class, that is student, new student, and in that we will initialize those first name and for last name, something like this, and similarly I will initialize that last name. Okay, alright, a simple program, and we will print that onto the console, something like this. Okay, and now if I run this, we will get that full name and that information, that is a process information. I will get rid of that for now. Okay, alright. But now let's say this is a very simple program, but in real time there can be a complicated applications, there can be a complicated code, and there can be time consuming methods as well, which are present in the real time application. So, and because of that our application might not be as responsive as it should be. Okay, and what that time consuming methods will do, let me show you that. Okay, so before that let me create 2 or 3 student here. Okay, let's say we have a requirement to show more than one student here. Okay, like this, and let me have one more student here. Okay, student 2 is equals to new student, it should be big S. Okay, like this. Okay, and I will initialize that that is this object as well, student1 dot first name is equals to John, student1 dot last name is equals to Wayne maybe, and similarly let me put that correctly in a correct order as the order of creating instance. Okay, that is nothing but for our sake of simplicity. Okay, so Edward and Wayne. Okay, I will keep that as Wayne only. Okay, Edward, Wayne. Now these are 3 students and I want to show them onto the console. Okay, and let's say instead of this method, for now let's say we don't have this method. Okay, I will get rid of this method, and I myself will show that onto the console. And how can I do that? Let me add that to one list first. Okay, that is a list of student, that is list is equals to new list. Okay, something like this, and let me add that student 1 and student 2 there. Okay, something like this. Now we have this list and I want to show that to the console. For each where item in, or let's say I will name that as student, where student in this list, a single student in list of student. Okay, so that will be more readable. Console and instead of this student I will make that as 1 and here as 2 and here it will be 3. Okay, so we will not be confused with the order and this student. Okay, so now I can use that student here. So student 1, student 2. Okay, all right. Now on console dot write line I will print that student dot first name dot last name. Okay, again a very simple program, but let me run that first and I will show you. Okay, so it has printed only one name and let me check why it has done, why it has happened. Okay, so student in this list, it has a list of the student 1, 2 and okay, so this should be student 3 and that is why it has make that that is why it has only printed one student. Okay, and yes, again let me close that. I have mistakenly initialized only one object. Okay, again and again, so let me correct that and now it is good. Okay, so it has printed that list. And again let me have one console.readline here, so it will look good. Readline. Okay, so it is printing that list and it is printing that in a second. Okay, so time which is required to print that list is not also 2 or 3 seconds. Okay, so that is printing within a second. But let's consider we have one method in our application which is doing some time consuming work. Okay, so let me have that method here. Okay, so let's just say we have one method public void time consuming method. Okay, and for now this method to consume time, what I will do, I will explicitly use this thread class here which is present under the thread namespace. That is, if I go to the potential fixes and using system.threading, okay, so that namespace is getting added here, system.threading, and there is this class thread which is present in that namespace and we can use that, and there should be this method that is sleep, and if I provide 5000 here, let's say 5000, that is nothing but a 5 second. If you hover your mouse, so milliseconds timeout, it is expecting that integer that is in milliseconds. So this 5000 milliseconds is nothing but a 5 seconds. Okay, so now if I run this, so before running that, let me use this method before printing this list here. Okay, and let's consider, and let me make that as static because then we don't have to create instance for that. And if I run this now, so if you guys can see, if you guys can notice, it is taking that time, that is 5 millisecond, that is 5000 millisecond, and now it has printed that list. So that is the problem if we have this complicated code, that is what we can say some time consuming code in our application, and before completing the execution for that method, our this code will be stuck in the middle and it will not get printed onto this console unless and until this method will done its work. That is, this method is completed executing that code which is inside this. So now this is, I have explicitly used this thread.sleep, but there can be in real-time application, there can be a code which is taking longer. Okay, so there can be a database operations, maybe there can be certain other codes that is taking longer and to execute, and for that our this code is stuck in the middle, and that is waiting for this method to be executed first, and before that it cannot do anything, and that is nothing but, if I run this, so it is not a very user responsive application. User has to wait for that list. So that is why, to make our application more responsive, we can use threads in our class, that is more than one thread, and we can divide that load. We can give this method to be executed to some other thread, and that thread will be executed simultaneously with this main thread. Okay, so let me show you that how we can do that. So for that, let me create one class here, that is thread, and I can call that as child thread. Okay, so we have already a main thread, so I will name that as a child thread. Okay, so now child thread new thread is equals to, and why it is giving error? Because it expects the method to be executed by this thread. Okay, so I will pass this method here, that is this, and as soon as I do that, that error goes away, and this method to work, I have to start this thread something like this explicitly using this start method. And now I don't have to explicitly call this method because we have already called that, invoked that to this thread. Through this thread, what we have done, we have passed this method to a new thread, and this thread will now manages the execution of this code. And now if I run this code, that message will be printed, that list will be printed in the second, you will see that. Okay, so we are getting that list within a second, because now this time consuming method is executing in some new thread that we have just created here explicitly, and that thread is managing the execution for this time consuming method. And now if you guys are thinking that this method might not be executing, and maybe if we are not using this method, something like this, so you guys might be thinking that what if this method is not even executing? Okay, so let me show you that this method is executing. Let me give one message there, that is, after this thread sleep, let me print one message, console.writeLine work done. Okay, let me give that message here. And now if to show you guys that this method is actually executing in this new thread, and now if I run this, you will see that list will be printed. Okay, this list is getting printed, and as soon as that method, that time consuming method has completed its work, okay, so it has printed that message. So this thread is nothing but simultaneously executing that method, and our this code which is executed by main thread, that main thread is handling, the execution for this code, and that is why, and now this code doesn't have to wait for this code to be executed, that this method to be executed, because that method is simultaneously executing in some new thread, and that's what we get the advantage using thread. Okay, but as we get advantage of this thread, there are disadvantages as well. Okay, so what is the disadvantage of using thread? Type safety is a disadvantage. Okay, so now how that type safety is a disadvantage? Okay, because that is nothing but these threads are not type safe. Let me show you that how it is not type safe. Okay, so for that, what I will do, I will just comment this for now, maybe instead of removing that, and instead of using this code like this, let me put that into one method, that is a separate method. So public void print student list, maybe we will take this a separate method here, and I will print that through this method, something like this. But now we are required with that list, okay, so we have to pass that as a parameter, something like this, list of student and that list. And as soon as I do that, as soon as I give that list to it, that error goes away. And now this method is nothing but doing what it is doing, it is printing that list of student. And now instead of that code here, I will use that method here, okay, something like this. And let me comment this for now, okay. Now we know this method requires, and let me make that as static again, because then we don't have to use or create the instance for that. And it is still throwing error. Why? Because it requires that parameter to be passed, okay. And I will add that list, that is pass that list to this, okay. All right, now if I run this, it will print that list only, okay. So same output we are getting, but now this time I have put that code inside a new method, that is this, and I have used that here. But now again there can be a situation in our application, there should be a time consuming code. Now we will not consider this method as this is printing a list of student. Let's consider this method is nothing but doing some lot of time consuming work, okay, and we want to create one thread and we want to pass this method to that thread to execute to be executed that in a simultaneous manner. So for that, let me create one thread here, something like this, and instead of that time consuming method, let me pass that print student list here. But now it is throwing an error. And why? Let me show you that. Cannot convert from method group to a thread start. Now why it is doing that? Because this instance is nothing but requires, that is, if I hover my mouse over here, as you can see, it is expecting that thread start delegate. It is nothing but that thread start is nothing but a delegate, but we haven't passed that delegate until now, and before that also we have only passed this method, and this is not a delegate. But if we don't pass that method, if we don't pass that delegate explicitly, compiler passes that delegate implicitly. And what that delegate is like, it passes that something like this, new thread start, that is, it should be thread start. We get that in IntelliSense as well, okay. So this is how implicitly compiler passes that delegate, and in that delegate, whatever method we pass into this instance, that is this instance of this thread, it passes that into the constructor of this delegate, something like this. But again, it should not work, because why? And that is why it was giving error before as well, okay. So now now that error will be more readable. If you see here, no overloaded for print student list matches delegate thread start. So now if I go to that thread start delegate, that is the definition of that thread start delegate. So it is a delegate of return type void, and it is expecting nothing. So it is nothing but not taking any parameter. So this, as we have already learned delegates, okay. So if you guys not aware about delegates, so please go and check my delegates tutorial video. In this tutorial series you will find that, and in that you will understand everything about delegate. So we know that this delegate signature should be same as that of a method signature which we are passing in that delegates instance, okay. So our this method, that is this print student list, having that return type void, it is okay, but it is taking that parameter. So this signature of this method is not same as this delegate. So that is why what we can use a parameterized thread start delegate. And how we can do that, let's just see. Parameterize thread start, and I can name that as PMT maybe is equals to new parameterized thread start, and in that I can give this definition. But here also we will get error, and why I will tell you that. Let me comment this for now. So what is it is so what error it is giving? No overload for print student list matches delegate parameterized thread state. matches delegate parameterized thread start. Okay, so we will go to the definition of this parameterized thread start. Okay, sorry, it should not be peak definition, it should be go to definition. Okay, so now as you can see, the return type of this as well is a void, but it is taking the parameter as a object. And if I go to this, let me correct that first, let me remove this first. Okay, so if you see, our this method has a return type of void, but it is taking parameter as a list and not the object. So that is why if I make this as object now, so we can be able to pass that here, and as soon as I do that, you can see that it is not throwing any error, because now the signature of this method matches the signature of this delegate. Okay, so now, and now what I have to do, I have to pass this parameterized thread into this child thread. Instead of this, I can pass that here, and in the start delegate I can pass that list as my parameter. So this is how we can pass that parameter. But one thing you will notice, now it is giving that error. Now this method is giving error, and why? Because we are taking that parameter as an object, but and we cannot loop through the object in this for each loop. If you can see, for each statement cannot operate on variable of type object. So now for that, what we can do, we can typecast that. Let me take list1 as a variable here, and we can typecast that to a list. And how we can do that, let me show you. And anyway, we have learned type conversion in this tutorial series. If you guys not aware about this, please go and check those videos. I can typecast that something like this, and now I can use that list1 here. Okay, and now if I run this program, we will get that output. Okay, so we got that output. But now why it is printing that again and again? Because yes, we are calling that method twice. Instead of calling that through this thread, we are again calling that explicitly. So now if I run, so we are getting that output. But now guys, why these threads are not type safe? Because it is taking that parameter as an object, and we know if it is an object, we can pass anything here, not only a list. What if I pass 2 here? Instead of that list, if I pass this 2 here, and it will take that happily, it will not even throw any error at compile time, but as soon as I run that, we will get runtime exception. Okay, what it says, unable to cast object of type system.in32 to a system.collections. So let's say if I do that as well, okay, in my code, this is nothing but we are parsing, and there is a very difference, and there is a very much difference between parsing and converting. This is nothing but only checking if this list can be parsed, if this object it can be parsed into this list, and if it can do that, then it is throwing that exception, that is it is unable to cast that. But what if I forcibly cast that? And how we can do that? There is this as keyword, we can use that, and I can cast that forcibly to this list, that is it should be a list of student, and it will cast that forcibly. And if I run this now, it should have cast that, but again we will get that exception, and this time it should be a null reference exception. Okay, so object reference not set to an instance of an object. Okay, so maybe we have casted that explicitly or forcibly to the list, but still it is not a list, it is a number. We are trying to loop through that list, which is nothing but having nothing, because this 2 cannot be a list, and that list should be a null only. Okay, if I put the debugger here, something like this, and now if I run this in debug mode, so let's just see that what that list get. Okay, so the execution has stopped, and on this point, that is where we have put that debugger. Okay, so now if I step into that from here, debug step into, so if we go here, if I hover my mouse over here, we can see that that list is nothing but null. Okay, so though it has forcibly casted that object which has this number 2, though it has casted that, but it is casting that to a null, and it is storing that to this list 1, and we are trying to loop through that null list here. And that is why if I continue this, that is this system.null reference exception, object reference not set to an instance of an object. So that is where our type safety is no longer be there in our application. So that is why these threads are not type safe. But anyway, what if we want to use those threads in our application? Then what we can do? We can use some tricks here. Okay, so what I can do, instead of taking this method explicitly here, what I can do, I can put that inside this class, and instead of taking that list as a parameter, what I can do, I can take one property here which will be of type, that is list of student, something like this, and I will name that as students, that will be big S. Okay, and instead of that list, I will get rid of this, I will pass that students here, that should be big S here as well. Okay, so now, and yes, we have to remove that static, because instance member cannot be work inside a static member. Okay, and we have seen that, we have learned that static members and instance members in this tutorial series. Okay, so now instead of using that something like here, something like this, what we can do, we already have an instance of this class, that is the student1, and we can pass that like this, student1 dot print student. And yes, now we don't have to pass this parameterized thread start here. Okay, we don't have to use that here. Okay, we can directly use that method here, that is student1 dot print student list. That is something like this. And now it is good, we don't have to either pass the parameters, and the signature of this method is matches the delegate of that thread start delegate, which compiler implicitly will pass into the constructor of this thread if we don't pass that. Okay, and I have shown you that. So now this is also a void signature, now this is also a return type as a void, and the delegate, that is a thread start delegate, also has a return type as a void. And now it is good, and we can only invoke that child thread, something like this, and if I run this, so we will get our output, and now this thread is nothing but a type set. And yes, we have to initialize that property, that is a list. Okay, so whatever we have taken this method, something like this, and we are looping through that list, but yes, we have to initialize that list. And how we can do that? We can use a constructor here, that is public student, and we can make user pass that list here, something like this. Whoever will create instance of this class, he can pass that parameter list as a list as a parameter to something like this, and we will initialize that list to our property, that is students, something like this. Okay, all right, that should be a student. And now we have to pass one parameterless constructor as well. Okay, because we know if we pass a parameterized constructor, then compiler will no longer provide a default constructor, that is a parameterless constructor, and we know that, we have learned that as well in this tutorial series. Okay, so now I have to create another instance here, something like this, student is equals to new student, and in that I can pass that list, which we are creating here. So we have to put that before this. Okay, so before defining that, we cannot pass that here. Okay, so now we are good to go. And now before that I have to use that student here, because we have initialized that list in this object. Okay, so that is why. And now if I run this, it will print that list. Okay, so it is printing that list. And now our thread is also a type safe, so that type safety is back in our application. So this is a small trick we can use to make use of thread as well. Okay, so if there is a need, if there is a requirement to use threads in our application, so this is how also we can use that. And that's what we use multi-threading for. Okay, that is to divide the load of our application. That is a complex application into multiple threads, and then each thread will perform its own task, its own particular task. Okay, so let's just quickly see the summary, and that's it for a thread now. Now first point, that is compiler add thread start delegate implicitly in the constructor of thread, if not used explicitly, and that is why it is optional to use thread start delegate. And I have shown you, if we don't also pass that thread start delegate, compiler will implicitly pass that for us. Okay, so second point, creating instance of parameterized thread start delegate is also optional if we want to pass parameter to the method which we are invoking through our new thread. Okay, as compiler will implicitly create instance of that as well, if not created explicitly. And that also we have seen, if we don't even create that instance of a parameterized thread start delegate, and instead of passing that to our thread, compiler will do that implicitly. Okay, and we can pass that parameter directly in the start method of our thread, that is the child thread. Okay, so we have seen that as well. And third point, each application or program is provided with one thread implicitly to handle the execution of it, and it is called as nothing but a main thread. So if we don't create thread explicitly, we are already given with a thread implicitly which handles the execution of our application, and that is nothing but a main thread. Okay, so fourth point, threads are not type safe, so we have to use them wisely if we want to divide the load of our application by creating more than one thread manually. And I have just shown you that these threads are not type safe, and still if we want to use threads in our application, safe. Okay, and I have just shown you that. So this is nothing but all about threads, and we will learn more about these threads in our upcoming videos, so don't worry about that, because this thread is a very vast subject, and we cannot complete that in a single tutorial. So we will see more about threads in our upcoming videos, so don't worry about that. And so till then, wait for the next video of this tutorial series, and till then subscribe this channel if you have not already, and like, comment, share these videos, and we will meet in the next part of this tutorial series. And till then, stay tuned and thank you.